Okay, if you are near West Siloam Springs, 43 minutes. Siloam Springs, 46. Gentry, about a little under an hour. So keep in mind, Watts, you are also part of this. And it's just to the east of Peggs, just to the east of Holbert as well. Remember, we have dealt with this situation for quite some time. Those are the only 3 warnings we have in place right now. As Chief Meteorologist Dan Threlkeld mentioned, the storm that we had near Ottawa County towards the Miami area has now pushed northeast. It is not severe warned at this time, but still strong, heading up towards the Baxter Springs and Loma Linda areas, moving 44 if you're heading northeast up into either southwest Missouri, northwest Arkansas, or southeast Kansas as well. A few showers and storms developing near Bartlesville, north of Veneta, but not severe at this time, and a couple of showers north of the Tulsa metro as well. Again, this severe thunderstorm warning for Cherokee County is in effect till about 7:15. I'm going to toss it now to Chief Meteorologist Dan Threlkeld.
Well, we talked about the possibility of storms being reissued. In other words, they cycle. Sometimes they'll decrease in intensity, but the circulation is still there, but not enough for the National Weather Service to keep a tornado warning going. Then they look at it a few more volume scans later, maybe 5-10 minutes later, they might say, you know what? That certainly could set down a tornado, and that's why this thing was reissued. We had about a 7-8 minute gap there until we saw this one reissued. So where in the world is it? If you know where McAllister is in southeast Oklahoma, this is northeast of McAllister. Most of us know where Eufaula is. It's east of Eufaula. And again, that's I-40. We're mostly familiar with I-40, and these storms are south of I-40. They're lifting up the northeast. Salisaw, one of the last big stops before you move into Arkansas. Storms are to the southwest of there, and that warning goes until 7:30 for that. We're also watching our storm spotters who've been out and about watching these storms as they move off in a northeasterly direction. These are very dangerous storms that any time could set down a tornado. Very heavy rainfall, lightning, gusty winds, and hail all associated with that. And we're going to be watching that as it lifts off towards Stigler. Stigler is in Haskell County, and that's included in that tornado warning. McIntosh County is where Eufaula is. It'll be moving away from Eufaula, so we may yet see that. Let's check back in with Nicoma Hutchinson. He's got the latest. Nicoma, tell me where you're at and what you're seeing.
I'm back in Grove, headed south on 59 at this time. Light rain. I did have a wall cloud earlier on the storm that was by Fairland, but it dissipated and got out of my range. So okay. I'm going to try to go back south to get on some other storms.
Yeah, just kind of a heads up, that storm is to the northeast. I don't believe you'll ever catch it. It'll be in Joplin before you get there, but there is a line that's developing that's located west of Welch, and that storm is going to be worth watching as it makes its way closer towards Welch. Centralia right now getting heavy rain and thunderstorms, so that may be something that you may want to keep an eye on that's a little bit closer to you. There's even another line that's western parts of Nowata County. We may yet see that storm go severe, so again, keep your eye back behind you for those thunderstorms that are moving through. Appreciate you, Tacoma. Great job. All right, again, Joy, right now, thunderstorm warning, not a tornado warning in effect for Cherokee County. That storm is in Tahlequah, heavy rainfall, lightning, gusty winds. If you live in an area that floods easily, you might be aware that this thing could quickly dump 3/4 of an inch of rain, and there could be some flooding, so a heads up on that. And then the tornado warning that's in effect until 7:30. 30 more minutes as that storm moves away from Eufaula, moves away from McIntosh County, moves away from Pittsburgh County. But right now, Haskell, we're concerned about that. And then the southern tip of Muskogee County, that is included in that tornado warning. So, Joy, the storms are still moving northeast, but the stuff up north is not as strong, and that certainly is good news.
Yes, that is good news. And I want to talk about the history of some of these storms and kind of what they've produced. Now, we haven't had too many reports, but some of these reports that have come in have been alarming. In Adair, there was a thunderstorm wind gust of 81 miles per hour. That was an actual observed wind gust. I believe it was 81.4. So these storms have a history of producing these thunderstorm wind gusts, but they also have a history history of producing hail. In Cherokee County, there was a report of pea to quarter-size hail, and in Warner and McIntosh County, there was a report of ping-pong ball-size hail. So just to note that these storms have been producing these damaging wind gusts as well as large hail, and likely the storms that we are tracking now will be able to do the same, since the environment, especially on the eastern side, has been the same. I'm seeing a lot of lightning with this storm now just north and east of Tahlequah. This storm producing a lot of lightning in and around Highway 62 as we approach Chewy. Looks like Tahlequah, in the next 5 to 10 minutes, you should be in the clear from this severe warm thunderstorm there. Westville, you may get clipped. Siloam Springs, you're likely in the path. This Concord, Leech, or Colcord, Leech in Kansas as well. Non-severe storms near Jay, but still strong storms. And we're seeing a lot of lightning with this storm that is tornado warned near the Haskell area, heading up towards Porham, Whitefield, Stigler. You are just to the east of this. As we zoom in even further, there's a lot of county roads, mainly Highway 2, Briartown, Hoyt, it's right over you now, Whitefield and Lee. We'll do another tracker on this to see where this is headed going forward. These storms have had a history of moving northeast at about 40 to 45 miles per hour. So they're moving at a decent pace, not slow. They're not going slow over one particular location, but they're not moving quick and out of the way either. So it's just something we have to deal with. Approaching Interstate 40, something to keep in mind, that is a heavily traveled area. We'll do this track now from Whitefield and Porham all the way northeast. You just saw that new radar scan that came in. Tamaha, about 27 minutes. Marble City still sitting at about 48 minutes. It may clip Sallisaw as well. Maybe Gans as well, right along I-40. So if you're in and around the I-40 area, or if that is close to you, of course, you do want to stay off the roadways, get to your safe or interior space, and go forward from there. That's what we're seeing at this time.
Joy, Nakoma is still out, and he's still getting some heavy rainfall, some lightning and gusty winds, very poor visibility. We don't encourage people to be out and about. Roadways are going to be wet, and you may not see that big gust of wind that comes in. So we're going to be looking at his live view. And again, we appreciate all our storm chasers who have been out. Most have been out since early afternoon when the atmosphere looked like it was ripe and at any time could get a little rowdy. Here's a look at what's going on radar with the thunderstorms as well. There's the movement. We're on the air because of an active tornado warning prompted by the National Weather Service. Wasn't confirmed on the ground, but seen by radar, and that's enough for them to go ahead and push the button. It's moving away from McIntosh County, moving away from Pittsburgh County. It's northwestern sides of Haskell County and the very edge, the very tip there of Muskogee County, south of Muskogee, but in southern Muskogee County, lifting off to the northeast. If I lived in Vian or Gore or Sallisaw, I would start thinking about, let's go ahead and clear that closet out. Let's go ahead and find our safety precaution things. You want to try to, if you've got a bicycle helmet, parents, it looks silly, but it's a safe thing to do. If a tornado warning is issued, you can put that on. It'll set a good example for the kids. You need some hard sole shoes as well. If they crawl in there in their Scooby-Doo pajamas but don't have shoes on, if a tornado hits and there's glass and nails and debris on the ground, that's not good either. So back in the old days when it was politically correct, we'd say put your church shoes on because they had hard sole shoes on, but put some hard sole shoes on and get ready for a storm if it's issued as a tornado warning. Here's the folks included in that. If you live in Porham, you're definitely included in the tornado warning. The circulation is just to the northwest of Stigler, and Tamaha, that's moving in your direction as well. So it's south of Warner, southeast of Shakota, it's south of I-40 and east of Eufaula. That's where the tornado warning is in effect till 7:30. The other one moving away from Tahlequah now. There's some good news for you, but it's still moving up to the north and northeast. We'll check back in with Joy. These are active warnings. Right now, Tulsa's in the clear. A little rain going on north of Owasso, but that's no big deal compared to this other stuff that's further to the east. Joy?
Yeah, we're going to go back to this tornado warned storm on Weather 2, and I want to take a look at velocity. It looks like the circulation has not strengthened. It's maintained itself right just north of Whitefield and east of Porham. This is northwest, of Stigler as well. I'm going to show storm relative velocity just to see if we can see any sort of difference there. Green means going toward, red means away, and you can kind of see that circulation right here, and this is what's prompted the tornado warning to remain rain, at least through about 7:30 p.m. Tamaha in the path of that. Now, we've seen some hail with these storms as well, so I'm going to put the hail product on, and if this system can detect some hail, it'll paint it in this pink or purple color, and we can see that right near the Purim area. A lot of lightning that goes with it as well, so just keep in mind that this storm is likely a hail producer. Also interesting to note, we can look at hail swath. This is kind of the history, and it looks like this storm does indeed, in fact, have some hail producing history all the way from just south of Eufaula, heading northeast towards Purim, just north of Quinton as well, and about northwest of Stigler. Now, that other hail swath you may be noticing to the north and west, that's associated with the storm that's going over Tahlequah, or just through Tahlequah. Look at that. If this rang true, that means this storm has been producing hail all the way since north of Eufaula as it formed, all the way through the Tahlequah area. So that's something we will have to keep in mind when looking for reports to see if that will verify. Otherwise, right now, it does not have a hail signature as we speak. Going back to reflectivity, we can see these storms continue on, not severe, but near J. Could be a strong storm, a lot of lightning, a lot of heavy downpours, Highway 59 as well. And these are our 3 warnings in play. This storm near Tahlequah looks to be moved out of Tahlequah proper. It's still heading northeast at about 7:15. It's getting very close to the Arkansas state line near Siloam Springs as it's going to be heading up northeast towards Colcord. I'm going to put one more track on this storm just to see. There's that latest radar scan inching closer to the Arkansas border. To this here, these storms have had a history of producing moving at about 40 to 45 miles per hour. So at least it is moving at a decent speed. But we've talked about these areas before, meaning Chief Meteorologist Dan Threlkel mentioned the issue of training storms, or storms that kind of move over the same location where we could see some localized flooding. The storm will likely be near Chewy in about a minute, Colcord 13 minutes, Siloam Springs 23, Gentry at about a half hour, Highfill 40 and a little under 50 minutes in Centerton. We'll go down and do a track for the tornado warning as well, just so you have that. Let me clear this off and go forward. And that warning does last till about 7:30. Right now it's 7:04, so we still have time. The storm has not showed signs of weakening, at least to my eyes, so something we will be keeping an eye on as we go through the evening hours. Good news is, though, we're not seeing too much formation back behind this initial line of storm. So hopefully once these move on out north and east, we will be done for the night. Here's your track going forward. Tamaha, likely in about 10 minutes. VN, 12 minutes. Marble City, 28 minutes. And notice this is going across Highway 59. Salisaw, you're likely included in this. Gore, this may just be on your outskirts, but just keep in mind, I would still go into your safe space and watch for this approaching storm. We're going to check in with Chief Meteorologist Dan Threlkel now.
One thing that we've not talked too much about is the hail potential with some of these thunderstorms. When you get storms that get lifted up, as it gets rises up into the atmosphere, it gets colder up there, and that moisture freezes into a solid. And those of us of a certain age remember the old popcorn makers where the popcorn would fall down because of gravity. Well, the updraft from the storm causes it to go back up. Why am I mentioning all that? Because some of these storms could be producing some 1-inch hail, especially in around the Purim area. So even though you may not be affected by a tornado warning, could have a thunderstorm that moves over your pickup truck or your car out on the driveway and cause some hail damage. So check that, not tonight, but tomorrow. Could be some wind damage as well. And again, inside that storm itself, the potential for some 1-inch hail near the Purim area. The warning still goes until 7:30. If this thing cycles down, National Weather Service could pull the plug on that. But as of right now, it is still a threat. We encourage you to stay in your hidey hole just a little bit longer as that storm lifts off to the north and northeast, eventually making its way out of Haskell County and Muskogee County and up in the western sides of Sequoyah County. Sequoyah County is the last stop before these storms make their way into Arkansas. Still a beefy storm, and that weird little purple that you see there, that represents areas that could be producing some 1-inch hail northeast of Tahlequah. Probably smaller than that now, closer towards dime size or nickel size, but still some hail coming down from these thunderstorms as they lift off the northeast. That's the colors you're used to seeing, with the darker reds representing the stronger thunderstorms, the cloud to ground lightning strikes. The center of that circulation right now north of Stigler, moving off to the north-northeast. Those traveling or will be traveling on I-40, that's when we often see some of those semis blown over, or if you drive a little bitty small car, those could be whipped around because of the high winds. So 50, 60 mile an hour winds approaching I-40 from the south-southwest, lifting off to the north-northeast. For Tulsa, we're in pretty good shape. I don't think we're going to see much more. I do think there could be a few more isolated showers further to the north-northeast, but the storm that means business right now is still the storm that we've talked about that's in effect until 7:30. Stay in your safe place a little bit longer. Let's check back in with Joy in the Storm Center.
So we're seeing these storms try to form in a linear fashion versus these sporadic cells popping up across green country. Now, with that being said, as they try to form a linear fashion, these storms all the way from Jay down to Tahlequah into Stigler, they're going to produce more of a pulse threat in terms of a tornado. So that means a tornado could go up very quickly and can come back down very quickly. It's not kind of the rotation that sticks around like we've seen for 20 to 30 minutes or more. So that is a little bit hectic in terms of course, you out there keeping safe, as these could fire quickly and then go back down quickly. But also that's good news, because that means the tornado threat is weakening somewhat, and we would just be dealing with the damaging wind threat. Hail threat should start to diminish as well. We'll have to see if those trends continue, of course, as we approach the next few hours or so. We are dealing with this storm that has now moved out of Tahlequah. It's still warned in Cherokee County until 7:15 p.m. It's 7:08 right now, so we'll have to see if the National Weather Service office will continue that warning. Right now it's over Chewy with some lightning strikes there, so of course be mindful of the heavy rain, lightning. Kansas, Leech, heading towards Colcord. Siloam Springs, you'll be next, along with Gentry and Watts. In Westville, it looks like you may just miss the storm as it passes to your north and west. Once again, Tahlequah, you are in the clear, likely a few isolated showers with this. Thompson's Corner, Gabriel, Shady Grove, dealing with non-severe storms just to your west near Holbert, but could be strong, still producing winds, maybe gusting to 30 to 40 miles per hour, heavy rain, and potentially pea-size hail. I've seen a lot of reports with these storms of pea-size hail that is not severe, but of course that could still cause some issues. Looks like some storms still in and around the Fort Gibson and Braggs area. Those are not severe. This tornado warning that's still in effect until 7:30 for Haskell County is ever so slowly inching towards the Gore, Vienne, Tamaha areas, as well as Salisaw. But back behind it remains that severe thunderstorm warning for Muskogee County until 7:15, including the areas of Warner, Porham, heading up towards I-40. It looks like, though, the circulation is drawing just near I-40, as it right now is just to the south. There's a look at that circulation now, just to the east of Porham and to the west of Tamaha. I-40 is right here. You can see that there. So the warning is getting close. The circulation is just to the south of that. And we're going to jump back over to Chief Meteorologist Dan Threlkeld.
We appreciate everyone. After the storm has cleared, if you have an opportunity to get out and take a picture or a short video clip and chime in, we would love to see that. This was sent in just about 15, 20 minutes ago. And again, you can see hail coming down. That was shot by Kathy Moore. We appreciate that. And again, going to be hail in the back patio, but don't get out there when the storms are still going on. Don't want you struck by lightning, get hit by a lawn chair, something like that. But there's your address, KTUL.com, and then if you click on chime in, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you, Kathy. Great job. And everyone, once you've had some damage, something like that, just be mindful. If there are power lines down and things like that, make sure the kids don't mess around with that. Again, we don't want a bad situation to get even worse, but thank you for what's going on. Here's a look at the storm. It's cleared its way out of Tahlequah. You're kind of in a little bit of a dry slot there. There's some thunderstorms just west of you in Cherokee County and some just to the east of you, but it's all moving up to the north-northeast. So that severe thunderstorm warning is still in effect, but it's not a tornado warning, and that certainly is good news. Further down to the south, this is the storm that we're on the air for, quite frankly, at least for another 18 minutes for the tornado warning in effect near the Porham area, lifting off in a north-northeasterly direction. It is a dangerous storm just to the northwest of Stigler. That storm has been moving earlier about 40, 45 miles per hour, but now I'm not seeing the storm moving nearly as fast. Still, it is dangerous. We want everyone to get and stay in that same area where you're at right now, wherever it is, it's too late to jump in the car and drive over to Aunt Betty's house. We don't want you in your vehicle. Stay hunkered down at least for another 20 minutes or so. That storm eventually will move up in to parts of Sequoyah County. So I would imagine if there's another tornado warning issued, that would be for Sequoyah County, the western part of that county, as that storm lifts off to the north-northeast. Still moving, but not nearly fast enough. We'd like this thing to get out of our hair. We can get back to regular programming, and Joy can have dinner. But in the meantime, we've got to stay here with the very latest information. Our storm spotters are still out. And notice that storm is getting closer and closer to I-40. A lot of traffic on that, obviously, at this hour. And we want that storm system to continue to weaken as it lifts off to the north-northeast. But Joy is still a beefy little storm. It's compacted. And again, the inflow into that storm, it's getting some nice fresh air into that that's feeding that, that's not corrupted by storms that are to the south, southeast. So that thing is large and in charge right now, and it'll be making its way up into western parts of Cherokee County.
I want to bring some good news to the front, and that's because we actually had some of our counties expired from the tornado watch. So back to the west, we are seeing that watch expire. That includes Pawhuska, Pawnee, Stillwater, Ponca City, Bristow, and Chandler, Okemah, Bartlesville, Tulsa Metro included, all the way east towards Arkansas, as well as north towards southeastern portions of Kansas. You are still under a tornado watch, and that goes until 10 p.m. So some of the counties that have been expired from that watch are Creek, Osage, and Pawnee, and that was just recent. So that's some very good news there. Likely as these storms continue to move eastward, we'll see that watch continuing to be let go for some of our counties. Let's go back and look at some of these storms. Of course, they've been moving rather quickly. Now, the ones that are to the storm that's more north of Tahlequah near Jay and Grove, is actually, there's been a special statement that was put out where they could have winds of up to 40 miles per hour as well as penny-size hail. So granted, they are not severe at this time, but they can still do some damage. 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts will take trees off branches, even small limbs, and can throw those down in the yard or a home. So just something to keep in mind that these near Highway 59 in Grove, Bernice, Langley, Jay, all the way towards Colcord. These are strong, not severe, but likely producing 40-mile-per-hour gusts, and penny-size hail will be possible in and around the Commerce and Miami areas. So no warnings to our north. We still have this warning that it does include Tahlequah on our map here, but Tahlequah is in the clear at the moment, and likely you're not seeing any rain at all at this time. The severe storm is now near Chewy, heading up towards Siloam Springs and Watts. Colcord likely a part of this as well. Right now it's over 412, so if you know anyone driving there, or maybe you have to head to 412, maybe wait till later tonight or through tomorrow's. You do not want to be stuck on an interstate in the pouring rain, lot of lightning. That's just not a good situation, as well as 40-mile-per-hour gusts or even smaller hail could, of course, do some dings and dents to your vehicle. Looks like some rain near Westville and Barron as well. Again, Tahlequah, you are in the clear. Holbert dealing with some light rain right now. You have another cell just west of you that could bring some heavier showers. Fort Gibson, you are in the clear with showers to your south and east. And we still have this other warning, both with the tornado and severe thunderstorm warning. Looks like it could be a hail producer. I'm going to go back to that hail product that we've been kind of showing you throughout the day. And it is still showing this swath of light pink or purple. This is just northeast of Porham. This is south of Weber's Falls, south of I-40. West of Tamaha area, so likely the storm is still producing hail at this time, and you definitely want to stay away from windows, doors, any exterior walls. You definitely want to be inside at this time. It looks like the severe thunderstorm warning that was encompassing the tornado warning has been let to be expired, so that's great news there. We don't have anything else other than 2 warnings right now. It's 1 tornado warning, and this is for the Haskell County. It goes until 7:30 p.m. Right now it's 7:16, so we still have a little under about 15 minutes to go for this one. Tamaha area, even though you're technically not in the warning, you should take this as you are in the warning and seek shelter immediately, as this could push north and east, and likely you will be in the path of that as well.
Still waiting on the expiration for the storm. It goes until 7:30. The hope is they'll pull the plug on that and we'll discontinue service, but continue to watch it. Let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on right now on the wider view. And on the wider view, you can see there's active thunderstorms ongoing across parts of our area to the south and southeast, across parts of Arkansas. That storm is not going to be a play for us, but if you have family and friends there, know that we're not the only ones dealing with severe weather for tonight. Thunderstorms are now east of Highway 75. We're not going to see a regeneration. This is it. This is the last song that'll be played, and then after that, things will begin to settle down. But it's not over yet. Ongoing thunderstorms, as we've discussed, in two separate areas, one that's east of Pryor, another one down near Stigler, lifting off to the north-northeast. We don't stay on the air continuously for severe thunderstorm warnings. We do that by breaking into programming and kind of give you a brief update on that. Notice, kind of interesting, the severe thunderstorm warning around that, they've gone ahead and dropped, so now we're just down to the tornado warning. I say just, still a very dangerous situation, but what they've done is let the thunderstorm warning expire, and they're going to keep in that tornado warning. There's a storm projection based on when I did this. Vian by 7:30, Marble City 7:47, and that's the center of the circulation that we have. So the greens are moving towards radar. I'm using the Tulsa radar. So these winds are coming up towards the Tulsa radar, that direction. And then on the back side of that, the reds are moving away right there, and that little couplet, that's the area that we are looking at and focusing on, because that's the area that a tornado could be embedded in, which is interesting. It's in the far edge of the box, so it's decision time at the National Weather Service. They'll have to decide, are we going to go ahead and reissue this thing or let it ride for another 11 minutes when it's scheduled to expire? If they still see a threat, and quite frankly on radar I still see that threat going on, they'll box up more real estate to the northeast, including Vian across Sequoia County. So if you live in those areas, just know that you're not included in the warning yet, but we may yet here in the next probably 2 to 3 minutes, they could pop another thunderstorm warning on the storm as it moves to the north-northeast. If we're not talking about your city and you hear hail or you see hail outside and there's thunder going on, you might say, what about us? That's because that storm to the southeast. Oh, there we got it. That's the brand new tornado warning. So 7:30, again, this thing is going to expire. It'll be moving out of this boxed area and further off to the east. And this is also interesting. The polygon has been shifted further to the east than northeast. So what's that all about? Sometimes larger storms will do kind of a right turn. When they're anchored a little bit more, they'll do a little bit of a right. And so that's kind of based on where that polygon was issued. So they wanted to include Sequoia County, so they made this weird little shape there that does include Sallisaw. So if you live in Sallisaw, you're now included in a tornado warning. The National Weather Service has issued that's in effect until 8 o'clock for Sequoia County. So we want folks in Vian and Sallisaw, even towards the Muldrow area, even Marble City, to be aware of that. The strongest circulation is located near Vian, just to the southwest of Vian, and it's moving up from the south and southwest. So that's a big old storm, Joy. And again, as suspected, they couldn't quite let it go because the threat is still there in Sequoia County. Let's check back in with you.
Yeah, you mentioned, Dan, the kind of right turn aspect of these storms. Once they become strong and they can continue on, we'll see that right turn. And I put an hour loop on this here, and you can see actually this right turn. Here's the storm just south of Eufaula, and it eventually does make this right turn as it approaches the Stigler area and now over towards Sallisaw. So just interesting to note that we can see that right turn aspect from the storm that just started near the McAllister and Eufaula areas and is now approaching eastward. So just something to keep in mind. This may tackle into some of the Fort Smith areas and surrounding cities as well, but it is traveling to the right. I'm going to actually stop this lapse here and take a look at where this is headed. So Dan mentioned areas near Sallisaw. This does include Highway 59 as well as right along I-40. So this is pretty dangerous. Maybe if you know someone who's out doing traveling, maybe they're a truck driver, maybe they're heading to a late night call if it's an electrician or a union member, or if it's someone that does utility work, just something along those lines. If you know someone who is traveling along I-40, give them a call. It doesn't hurt to do that, because that's exactly where this tornado-warned storm is headed, moving eastward right along I-40 as it approaches Sallisaw and eventually over toward the Fort Smith and Cedarville area. So just something to keep a note. You do not want to be in a vehicle during the storm. If you are, of course, a ditch if you cannot make it inside to a maybe fast food restaurant. Fast food places have freezers that double up as storm shelters. So just keep in mind, if you know someone who's out there traveling in and around this area, doesn't matter where, just give them a call, let them know to find the nearest safe place that they can head into. Interesting to note, especially since it decided to take a right turn right along I-40. I'm going to put this track on there now as this storm is starting to make this right turn. And of course, it'll go right along I-40. We'll double this up as it pushes into Arkansas. So Sallisaw, 16 minutes. Vienna, about 1 minute or so, so it's on your doorstep. Muldrow, it's right there as well, heading towards the Arkansas state line. That's right here, and heading towards just north of Fort Smith into the Van Buren and Cedarville areas. We'll have to see if the storm can hang on. Of course, it looked like it has produced hail. It looked like it has produced damaging wind gusts. Haven't had any reports yet of a tornado with this storm having some ground truthing to it, but likely we are still seeing rotation at this time with the storm. And go back to that to see if maybe the rotation has tightened in any sort of way. Still seeing that rotation there near the Tomahawk area, just north and west of that. You can see the circulation right there, right near Tomahawk. Of course, that makes sense why they brought out that tornado warning even farther to the east. Looks like if it continues, maybe Vienna, maybe skip, but if you are in Vienna, of course, make sure to be in your safe space already. There is the circulation. You can see that green going toward, red going away. Looks like a tight circulation that at least has been maintained over the past 20 to 30 minutes or so. These are the only warnings we have right now at this moment. Notice that there are showers still extending just north near Coffeyville, just north of Bartlesville, all the way down to west of McAllister. Likely not going to see those become severe, but they could become strong, of course. We'll still have some strong storms that were previously warned in and around the Muskogee area up towards northwest Arkansas into Bentonville and Fayetteville. And the storms that we did have in Ottawa County are now well into southwest Missouri, have already passed Joplin, and those will continue to move northeastward out of the way. So this is it. We just have this line. They tried to go linear, and so far haven't really done a great job at doing that. But this is that second round that I mentioned just a few hours ago during our 4 and 5 o'clock shows, that once this moves on out, likely in the next couple of hours, we will be done for the evening, and tomorrow will be a lot quieter, a cooler day, but a lot quieter and nicer day as well. I believe we're going to throw it to Chief Meteorologist Dan Threlkeld now.
Absolutely. What's interesting, the storm tornado warning was scheduled to expire at 7:30, but it's still right on the line. So we'll see if that southern part of the storm in Haskell County is dropped or if they milk it a little bit longer. But the threat is certainly shifting into Sequoyah County as it lifts off to the northeast. Tornado warnings also in effect for parts of Louisiana, southeast Arkansas if you have family and friends down there. The storms are still moving up in the northeasterly direction. For Tulsa, there's activity ongoing to our north, to our east, and also to our southeast. But here in the metro area, I'm not expecting any more rain. Thunderstorms in eastern Oklahoma are still a big threat. The strongest threat is located down near I-40, lifting off the northeast and still moving at about 40 to 45 miles per hour. Ongoing thunderstorms across eastern and southeastern Oklahoma. If you do have to travel down towards Muskogee on the Muskogee Turnpike, there's some rain there, but the stronger thunderstorms are still in that area that we talked about across parts of western parts of Sequoyah County. Let's check back in with Nakoma. An update, Nakoma. Did you reposition? Where are you, and what can you see?
Yeah, Dan. I'm just coming into Jay. The rain's starting to pick up a little bit. Some pretty good ponding on the roadways. Steady rain. No wind hardly at all, though. Just a lot of rain and a lot of ponding to start on these roadways here in Jay.
Very good. Are you going to be staying on 59 going north or south? That stuff that's off to your east, that's going to be moving up into, Bella Vista, Bentonville area. That's not a play for you, but that stuff that's down to the south near 412, that'll be moving back up in your direction. So just kind of a heads up on that, my friend.
Yeah, I'm going to stay in this general area and watch that southern stuff around 412.
Okay, very good. Hey, appreciate you being out there tonight. You stay safe, my friend. Thank you very much. Again, he's watching out storms that are right now near Jay with some ponding on the roadways. There's more rain that'll be coming in. Several waves have come through parts of Delaware and Adair County, even through parts of Cherokee County. Right now, heaviest is located west and to the north of Tahlequah, moving off in a northeasterly direction. Hey, Muskogee, heads up. There's some rain coming through. It's not severe, not going to be severe, but there's another band that'll come through. That'll be the last gasp from this storm. It extends all the way up from Wagoner all the way down, worked its way all the way down in towards parts of Muskogee. So that'll be coming through Bacone. Just get ready for that over near Bacone College, sliding off in a northeasterly direction, move towards OK and Fort Gibson, and thunderstorms also further to the south along 69 there, moving off in a northeasterly direction. There's the big play. That's the big daddy of all of them. That's the storm that's located near Vian. That's the reason that we're on the air. The tornado warning was issued from the National Weather Service. It was radar indicated, but they are watching things rather closely, and what we look for, this is the debris tracker, and that kind of tells us if there's any debris aloft from this storm that's been kind of kicked up from the storm. I've been kind of monitoring that from time to time. I haven't shown it on the air, but once streets get torn up, and trees and fences and other debris, roofing material gets lofted up into the air. It creates a different type of signature that the radar looks at. And again, we're still looking at velocity. That, my friend, is a decent signature as far as tornadoes go. It's something we don't like to see. That's a very strong indication of a tornado circulation that is located to the northeast is Tamaha, south of Vian. If you live south of the Vian area, that's where the storm is located, and it is moving off northeasterly. So this is the area of concern right here, and the movement's going to be pushing that up in a northeasterly direction. So in Weber's Falls, right now the circulation center is to your southeast. Not going to be much of a play. If you live in Sallisaw, just kind of keep an eye on that storm. If it does a bit more of a right turn, it'll be more of a play for the Sallisaw area. Same thing for Marble City. So we've got to kind of watch that. I'll clear off some of this thing. It looks like a John Madden football game, but that is the storm that we're looking at, lifting off to the northeast, and the movement doesn't seem like it's nearly as fast as what the data has indicated, which was a 30 to 40 mile an hour movement. This thing has been sitting near I-40 for it seems like what looks to be like a half hour or so, but the southern part of that storm, as it lifts away, that'll be dropped. In fact, it's scheduled to expire here in 1 minute, so we'll see this red box go away, and then we'll be down to the one last tornado warning. And this is the last stop in this event, because eventually it'll move into Arkansas, and the TV folks over in Fort Smith will handle the coverage in western parts of Arkansas, and we'll pull the plug on our coverage. In the meantime, it's still a very potent storm. Joy, what do you have for us?
Yeah, so I was curious, we've been seeing storms in our eastern counties all the way down. We've been following that tornado warning, of course, near the Stigler and Fort Smith areas as we've been approaching here. But I was curious, what is else out there? Do we have anything else firing up out to our west? So I switched to the Oklahoma City radar, and good news, maybe just one shower popping up that, of course, we'll watch just to make sure near I-40 as you head west of Oklahoma City. Otherwise, these are just stratiform showers out to the west, something we don't have to be concerned with. So that is just good news to think about. Once we are done with these storms, we will be free and clear, of course, aside from a few isolated showers, but that severe threat should end. Here's a look at where that rain that we were dealing with near Ottawa County is now pushed on out to the north and east into southwest Missouri. So we're dealing with a few showers near the Jay and Grove areas. That's where Nakoma's at right now. Of course, we'll get an update from him in just a bit. Notice these strong storms remain north of Tahlequah. We have some rain near Wagoner as well. That will continue east all the way into northwest Arkansas near Bella Vista, Bentonville, and just west of Springdale. These are not severe thunderstorm warned, but they were in the past. So they do still have the chance of producing maybe winds gusting up to about 40 miles per hour, maybe hail right around the pea size. We've seen that a lot throughout the evening, and these storms will likely continue to do so. At best case, they'll still be a heavy rain producer. So something you don't want to be caught in if you have to do some late night driving. And of course, we're still seeing a lot of lightning in and around the Bella Vista and Bentonville areas, and that will continue just south of Jay into Tahlequah. Heading further south, I'm just going to reposition this just a little bit farther south here and zoom in. We still have a few maybe stronger storms, if you will, from Wagoner all the way down to Muskogee, just west of OK and east of Porter. Likely heavy rain producers as well. Not seeing any lightning as of right now. Hopefully they will start to weaken, but they may produce some heavy rain. South of Holbert, it looks like a little bit of lightning, maybe a small hail core to deal with. Just north and west of Tahlequah, we're seeing some stronger storms as well. And then, of course, down south is where we are dealing with this tornado warning. I'm just going to reposition this just a little bit farther. Here's where that storm is located, still moving on track at least to push northeast. Notice this Boeing segment near Vian. We could see maybe some damaging wind gusts out of this. When storms start to bow in, that's when they become more of a wind producer versus a tornado or hail producer. So, of course, keeping our eye on this to see if that shape will continue on east and if we have any reports to corroborate that story. A lot of lightning north of Vian, still likely some hail embedded in that as well. Sallisaw, you're dealing with some rain, but you are in the tornado warning, so keep in mind you do want to head to your safe space, your shelter, if you will, whether that's a bathtub, into your closet, into your room. If you're fortunate to have a basement or shelter, you want to already be in that space. Looks like north of Muldrow there. Here's I-40, so I-40 is included in about half of this warning, but headed south, it looks like it will be out of that. So something to keep in mind, you do not want to be on a major interstate during this time frame. Looks like some heavier showers back up to the north and east. So, of course, we'll still watch this, see if that rotation is still tightened at this time. Dan?
I have a question for you. You previously worked in another market up near the Joplin area and also covered parts of northwest Arkansas. When did you guys consider the storms moving out of Tulsa and into your viewing area?
So we would start to consider them. Actually, I'm going to go to where our maps are just to give you a visual. We would likely start watching as they approached Ottawa County.
Okay.
That's when we would take over some of the kind of coverage, if you will. But likely even near Grove, Jay, even Veneta, that's when we would really start to pay attention and likely go on air to start covering some of those storms.
You know, I ask you that because sometimes our viewers, especially those that may be a long way away from the coverage, will say, well, why are they covering that? That's not their viewing area. Let another market handle that. But again, that's kind of where the markets kind of swap. There's a little bit of an overlap between the time we let it go and the time that you guys picked up coverage there in the Joplin area.
Right. It's all about antennas and which antenna can reach what strength and which TV station. And although people will be like, hey, why are you covering this storm in a small town? Well, we'll actually get emails, phone calls, handwritten letters from those people in those small towns saying, thank you so much. You were the only station we could receive and you kept us safe. So that's really why we do this.
It's so interesting behind the scenes what goes on because, again, we don't determine our area of coverage. The FCC does, and they tell us, this is your baby. This is your responsibility. This is what you coverage. And they tell that the same thing to the Fort Smith market and also to Joplin. Very interesting. I always wanted to ask somebody that was there. Here's what's going on right now. We continue with a tornado watch. It's in effect tonight until 10 o'clock. We've got one area where there's a tornado warning. That thing goes until 8 o'clock. Do the math. It's about 25 more minutes. I hope the storm system weakens and we can discontinue coverage. In the meantime, we want to show you some other areas of thunderstorm ongoing. Independence, Coffeyville, that's Montgomery County, included in our area, and over towards Labette County, a thunderstorm located near Parsons. We got you back. That'll be moving up towards the Pittsburgh, Kansas area. Showers and thunderstorms in southern Ottawa County through Adair and Delaware County. Those storms are not nearly as strong. Those will continue to race up towards Neosho, and the thunderstorms pick up right now south of Jay. That extends all the way to north of the Tahlequah area. It's a strong thunderstorm. It could produce hail, lightning, and gusty winds, but it's not a tornado threat at this time. So there's no box on it, and we're not going to spend nearly as much time with that. It's like the problem children. If you got 2 or 3 babies, the one that's crying is the one that you give the most attention to. This thing is screaming right now, and it's saying, hey, give me some attention. And so we're focusing our attention because that thing could set down a tornado at any time. It'll be rain wrapped. It'll be very difficult to see. It's not the classic that you see out in this sunny afternoon with a big tornado. That doesn't happen. That sun is down, and this thing will be hard to see until there's enough lightning strikes with that. Right now, the center of circulation we're focused on is located to the northwest of Sallisaw, and it'll be approaching Highway 59 from the west. There is lightning and gusty winds. If you're in Marble City, you're under a tornado warning, you should be in the closet, not out in the front yard to see if you can see it. You should be hopefully in your designated safe area. And if you're there, you should know that a storm at any time could be moving through, but the winds are going to pick up. It'll be howling, and there'll be some lightning as that storm moves off to the north-northeast. Still west of 59, the strongest part of that storm, and the strongest part of the storm now is located north of 40, and just to the west of 59, it's located east of Vian, southeast of Cookson, and it is a pretty nasty little storm. Heavy rainfall, lightning, and hail will be interesting. If Joy's listening, to check some of those rainfall amounts if you get a chance. I'd love to know how much rain this thing has dumped, because it has not moved very much at all. The models were indicating southeast Oklahoma could pick up 2 inches. I think there's being a lot more areas north of there in far eastern Oklahoma. Would not be surprised to see 1 inch to 2 of rain. Stillwell, the storm is still to your south, and again, Marble City, that'll be the area concerned. That's East 995 Road, and so that area is just to the west of Marble City, and it'll continue to slide off in the easterly direction. Some of these smaller roads, South Blue Top Road and Evening Shade Road, that's where that storm is located right now, sliding off in a northerly to northeasterly direction. So heavy rainfall, hail, and lightning. That's not it. There's another line that's further out to the west. This thing likely will not become severe. Here's why I think that. Inflow is corrupted. This atmosphere has been worked over quite a bit. Even though there's a boundary coming through, it'll be working into an atmosphere that's pretty choppy. So I think this will be the main part of the storm. If it lifts more northeast, then they'll start boxing up other counties. If it continues on its present course, this thing will be in Arkansas here in about 25 to 30 minutes. So that's what we have going on. A little bit of activity located north of Eufaula, southeast of Okmulgee and through Tulsa. It's an all clear right now in this area. You've been there a long time, but stay in that safe place at least another 30 minutes. So, Joy, we've seen some heavy rainfall with this, lightning as well. What do you have for us?
Yeah, I have 2 reports that have just come in. I want to relay those to you. The Kiefton area, there was a report of a roof blown off a barn into a single-family home. They've reported no injuries, but just to show that there has been some damage out there. Also, some wind damage reported just west of the Fort Smith area due to that strong storm that's nearby. Now, Chief Meteorologist Dan Threlkeld mentioned potential rainfall, and what I have for you is estimated radar rainfall totals when I come back this second time around. I'll try and get some hard numbers for you, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the warnings off, and I'm going to, we have this pixel query, which means that we can zoom in on some areas and kind of just see what the radar is estimating in terms of rainfall. So let's go for this first storm where we had our storm chaser David Gady out there, and he took that video of a funnel. Let's see how much rain that we got with that storm. And I'll bring this over here to see if we can. Okay, so the radar is estimating about 0.8 of an inch, almost an inch there. North of Pawnee, about 0.6, and right along the Kansas state line, about 0.85 inches. So we'll clear that off, and we'll go to the next swath, if you will, see where else we could have seen some heavier rainfall totals. Once again, these storms have been traveling literally over the same location, so it makes sense why we are seeing these rainfall amounts over an inch in some spots. And what was projected was about an inch and a half. So this is lining up good with the forecast. Looks like over an inch of rain as you head northeast of Veneta, right along 44. Near the Veneta area, about 0.6. North of Pryor, 0.6 as well. How about Broken Arrow? We had a chaser over there earlier that caught some pea-sized hail, potentially up to an inch of rain. And just south of Broken Arrow, we have about 0.6. When these storms are all said and done for you, if you have a rain gauge, check it out and send it to us. You can write to Chief Meteorologist Dan Threlkeld on Facebook or Twitter. You can do the same to Bud Ford. It's Bud Ford WX on both of those. On my Facebook, it's Meteorologist Joy Bettenhausen, or just Joy B Weather on Twitter. Or you can do our News Channel 8 Facebook page. Let us know how much rain you've received. Let us know if you've seen any damage in your area, but only do so when the storms are out of your way and it's safe for you. I'm going to go down towards the J area, see how much rain we had here. Near J, it's estimating up to an inch. Tahlequah, about 3/4, about a little over an inch just northeast of Tahlequah. Muskogee, a little over an inch just south towards I-40, almost to about an inch and a quarter of there. So this is right along with forecasts. Of course, some of these areas may not be able to handle rain that well. I live in Broken Arrow, and I at least know when we get a heavy rain, some of those storm drains do not do well with some of that rain, and that of course leads to some ponding on the roadways. It's just something that is just difficult to drive in, so just keep in mind maybe heading out to work tomorrow. Of course, a lot of these locations have received heavier rainfall. You still may have some ponding heading in at 7 or 8 a.m. tomorrow. You may have to take the innermost lane on a highway or any sort of roadway, residential street, and just keep in mind you may still have some ponding on the right side of the shoulders, things like that. Just something to keep in mind going forward. It looks like the storm near Wagoner is strengthening just a tad. We're seeing this purple spot could indicate maybe a hail core with it, some lightning as well, all the way down to Tallahassee towards OK and up northeast, which is just west of Peggs. Again, we could see maybe some hail. This will throw on our hail product. Not seeing anything yet, but that doesn't mean it can't happen or will happen. It looks like some strong storms just west of Peggs as well. Leech in Kansas all the way up towards Colcord. Siloam Springs now heading into Arkansas. Gentry and Watts, we're still dealing with some strong storms. Not severe, but strong. And this warning, still this tornado warning in and around Marble City, Vian, Sallisaw. Vian, you're now in the clear as we speak, but this is still continuing to head northeast and getting ready to cross Highway 59. Dan?
All right, here's the very latest. We do appreciate people that have been sending in pictures and our storm chasers as well. And again, we've had Nakoma. He's been out there sending back a live stream. We appreciate all of our chasers who are out on the front lines of the storm to give you the very latest on that. That storm has moved northeast of him, so have a safe trip back into the metro area. We appreciate that so much. And our viewers as well who've been chiming in with great pictures. This was sent in by Larry Newton in the Tahlequah area. You can see very heavy rainfall coming down. It's so easy to do. KTUL.com, there's a tab there for chime in. Send us the picture, tell us something about the image as well, but very poor visibility, and it's coming down in buckets. You know, we are going to end 2022, we did, with a 7-inch deficit on the rainfall. What a great way to start out 2023. I'm not, of course, talking about the severe weather, but I am talking about the rainfall, which was so needed. Well, we're in the fourth quarter of this storm system, close to the 2-minute warning as the storm system lifts off in a northeasterly direction, and we'll continue to be focused on Sequoyah County, the last tornado warning that likely will be issued. If this weakens, the Weather Service will drop coverage of that, and we'll drop our continuous wall-to-wall coverage. In the meantime, we've got a potent storm that's located north of Sallisaw that's still moving in a northeasterly direction. The circulation centers between Marble City and Sallisaw, right there, those colors represent directional speeds as well as the storm itself. So we're looking at wind shear, gate to gate, we call that. So again, those are storms that are coming in towards the wind, that are coming in towards Tulsa, and winds that are going away from Tulsa. And when those two snuggle up to each other, bad things can happen. So that's what we look for. And that prompted the National Weather Service, that and other analysis that they do, that says, you know, let's go ahead and issue that tornado warning. And they'll usually grab some real estate that's upstream of the storm to give it time and give people time to react to that. So sometimes you're included in a tornado warning. You're going, why is that issued? The storm is not there yet. It's because the storm is going to be moving in that direction. That's what's going to be going on. And that highway there, that storm will be approaching that just to the north of the Sallisaw area. Not going to give you the all clear, but Joy did say, Valian, you're really in the clear right now because the circulation is east of you. So we may see a little hatchet job on this polygon, this box, get trimmed off a little bit as the storm slides off in a northeasterly direction and it moves through there. These storms have been quite strong for this evening, and they'll continue to be quite strong. Circulation is located west of Highway 59. That is 59 sliding in northeasterly direction. There's some other rain further to the north, up Highway 182 north of Ian. That's a little bit of rain. That's not a big thing, and it won't be a big thing. That's the main area that we're concerned about. Those weird colors represent, that is the Ville. Gives us an idea of the integrated liquid that we have in there, the vertical integrated liquid, and those higher values would be indicated of possibility of moisture getting lofted a bunch at over 100 miles an hour. Loft freezes, gravity pulls it down, updraft pulls it back up, and it can dump some some large hail. That's one of the criteria for a severe thunderstorm warning. Back in the old days, it took a hail of about 3/4 of an inch in diameter before they would pop a severe thunderstorm warning. What was happening is they were getting way too many severe thunderstorm warnings, and people were saying, they're just crying wolf. We're not going to take that seriously. Weather Service said nobody ever died from 3/4 inch hail. Let's up it to 1 inch hail so we have fewer warnings where they mean more. So that happened over the last 10, 15 years where it's a 1 inch hail or higher and or winds 58 miles an hour or stronger. So when you see a thunderstorm warning, doesn't mean it's not something to take serious. It is, but this is the step up, which is the tornado warning, which is north of Sallisaw. So Joy, I don't mean to give old man weather lessons, but people sometimes like to know the history of why things happen. And if you've been around 40 years in weather, sometimes you learn a little bit.
Hey, you're chief for a reason, and you're great at that, so I'm grateful to be learning from you, and I'm sure much of the viewership can also attest to that as well. So this is a perfect time for everyone to learn just about storms and how, warnings came about and things like that. I believe if we can call up Weather 6, we have this interesting chime in. This is Al, the weather cat, watching all the way from Grand Lake, and we'd love to see people watching our coverage at this time, even the kitties. I have a kitty at home, and it's just so cool, and thank you so much, of course, for tuning into News Channel 8. We love to see that you are staying prepared, and in your kitty too. Everyone's in their safe space, of course. So thank you so much for watching our coverage at this time. I also have some rainfall totals as well. I was able to hop into the Oklahoma Mesonet just very quickly. These are kind of quick and dirty rainfall totals, as many as I could find. And it looks like that other warning, there's a new warning there, and I'll get to that in just 1 second. Rainfall totals I found, Oklahoma Mesonet. Worcester, about 4/10 of an inch. Eufaula, a little over 7/10. McAllister, a little over 7/10 as well. Bixby, almost 2/10. Miami, over a 1/2 inch. And Weber's Falls, almost a 1/2 inch. So good news that we are getting beneficial rainfall totals out of these strong to severe storms. So, okay, new severe thunderstorm warning. This is for Adair County and goes until about 8:30 p.m. Does include the city of Stillwell, right along Highway 59 going northward. Barron, you are just on the edge of that, and this is all the way into the Arkansas border. Let's put a track on this since this is a new warning and make sure everyone in this location just kind of has their information that they need to stay safe, of course. Likely for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts as well as quarter-size hail. We'll drop this down all the way from Stillwell. This is likely traveling northeast, so I'll try and do that roughly here. Lincoln, it'll be near you in a little under half hour. Prairie Grove, about 44 minutes, and Farmington, 54 minutes. So if you live in and around these areas near 59, Highway 59 that is, all the way up towards the Arkansas border, just keep in mind this storm is coming your direction and will likely be here within the next 15 minutes or so. Again, it's a severe thunderstorm warning for Adair County. It goes until 8:30 p.m. If you're looking at the map, you're like, hey, I'm south of Barron or I'm south of Westville, keep in mind that this severe thunderstorm warning does include you, especially if you're in and around Adair County. Again, goes all the way south of 59, likely a little bit of hail in the mix with that where we see this pink splotch here. A lot of lightning and heavy rain. You do not want to be caught in this out on the roadways. Looks like they have trimmed up the tornado warning that's still in effect until 8 p.m. It's 7:49 right now. As Chief Meteorologist Dan Threlkeld mentioned, we are in the fourth quarter of this tornado warning and hoping it can continue to weaken as it approaches northeast and we can drop this warning and let you go back to regular programming. But as of right now, this tornado warning still stands, goes until 8 p.m., just another 11 minutes or so. Moving out of the Marble City area, it looks like it is near Sallisaw as we speak, crossing 59 as we speak, and still moving through I-40 right now as we speak and near Highway 64. I'm going to do another tracker on this just because it's just been a little bit and it has moved eastward, so just so everyone in this area is safe and knows where they are headed. All right, let's get this tracker going here. Drop it down all the way from the north of the box down to the south of the box. Here we go all the way down to Sallisaw, and we'll put it east, and I'll make sure to get that tornado warning box out of the way for you. So Cedarville, it'll likely be in your way at about 15 minutes. Hopefully, though, this will be canceled before it approaches your area. Just be prepared that it may get extended if the National Weather Service deems fit, and you'll likely have to go into your safe space soon. You clear this out there. Again, just east of Marble City towards Sallisaw. Looks like Gans, you will be in the free and clear. These are our 2 warnings right now, of course, that we have been watching.
And the further north one was the latest one issued, and it was severe as opposed to a tornado warning.
Correct.
That's always good news as well. I want to show you another picture that was chimed in. This is just to the north of the Muskogee area, and you can see this was Deborah Reed who sent that in. We appreciate Deborah. And where was this, Travis, that was sent in from?
North of Eufaula.
Just north of Eufaula. We appreciate all the folks that are chiming in. So easy to do. Go to our website. There's a tab there for chime in. Tell us a little something about that, and we would appreciate that. Pretty good little chunk of ice there with that storm. Still, the warning is in effect for another 8 minutes and 5 seconds. Yeah, you don't think we're counting this thing down. Hopefully, this will be the last gasp of the storm. Still some beefy storms, and they're still dangerous. We encourage everyone to please hang in there. The circulation area continues to lift off to the north and northeast. That north-south there is State Highway 59 that runs from Stillwell back down towards Sallisaw, and that's where that storm is approaching from the west. So if you live along and especially west of 59 in through that stretch of roadways, my goodness, please be careful. Gusty winds, lightning, hail, could be some flash flooding as that lifts off to the north and northeast. The thunderstorm warning that's up near Stillwell, that thing will be going on until 8:30 for tonight. So that's a severe thunderstorm warning, lightning and hail, and there'll be a lot of lightning with this, so be aware of that. Could be some brief power outages. We often tell people during a thunderstorm, even if it's daylight, go ahead and grab the flashlight in case that storm continues past sundown, and also make sure that you've got that phone on charger, because if you lose power, obviously you would not be able to find out exactly what's going on. Sometimes TVs go out with cable systems, and we encourage everyone to make sure that you stay up to date with the storms. Other areas of rain south of Jay lifting off, going to clip back into northwest Arkansas and move up towards Fayetteville. Areas to the south and southeast, McCurtain County, southern parts of the floor. We'll try to give you a little love. Where there are thunderstorms down there, but they're not severe. Lightning coming back into southern McCurtain County, and those will clip southeast Oklahoma and move back into southwestern parts of Arkansas. The colors represent, as we said, wind direction and speed, and we're still looking for the greens and the blues close to each other, and that is the area of concern that's prompted that warning, at least to stay in effect for another 6 minutes or so. Weather Service will be monitoring that, decide if they're going to extend that another 15-20 minutes, or they'll downgrade that to a severe thunderstorm warning. And we talked about the difference between a thunderstorm warning and a tornado warning. Keep in mind, out of a thunderstorm warning, you can get a tornado. In fact, you can get a tornado even if there's not a warning in effect, but it does give you an idea of area of concern. And Joy, it looks like that's all north of the Sallisaw area and still lifting off to the northeast. Do you have an update on the watch?
I do. It looks like the tornado watch has been canceled for some of our northern counties. This does include the Tulsa Metro, includes cities near Okmulgee, Okemah, Bristow, Pawhuska, Bartlesville included, Claremore, all the way up to Veneta. Notice that those still in southeast Kansas are under that tornado watch that goes until 10 p.m. and our eastern counties and southeastern counties remain in that tornado watch, as well as northwest Arkansas. So we're not done yet. Miami, Grove, Wagoner, Tahlequah, Muskogee, Sallisaw, Poto, down to Wilburton and McAllister, Eufaula included. Those in the yellow, these counties will remain in the tornado watch until 10 p.m. Those in the gray are done with the tornado watch, and that does include the Tulsa Metro. Now, I do have some new information here. We're going to go back to radar for just a second, and I'm going to show you some of the storms that we did have in our northern counties that have moved north all the way into Kansas, and just some of the reports that we've had. So there's some of the Kansas storms that were eventually over us. I did switch to the Wichita radar just to see that some of those storms have produced about 45-mile-per-hour wind gusts in Lebec County. So these storms were in our area and have continued to lift north and produce sub-severe wind gusts, but still strong and still could pose damage. Remember, bringing down tree limbs and things like that. I'm going to switch back to the Tulsa radar here. I'm going to head further south. This tornado warning, it looks like this storm has now, the National Weather Service put it that this storm is now moving northeast at 35 miles per hour, so it has slowed down somewhat. I was curious about that as it was fast approaching all the way from Eufaula, right, and then kind of took the right turn and really started to slow down. It's still just north of Sallisaw, approaching northeast into Arkansas. This is the line right here, if you could tell by my hand. Likely it'll approach into Arkansas, hopefully weakening before then. We still have 5 minutes on this warning, as this warning is set to expire at 8 o'clock. So we'll see if that hangs out. Otherwise, we do have a few showers and storms popping up. I've been watching other National Weather Service offices just to see, hey, are there more storms developing, you know, way down west that could approach us? So here is one storm. It's just northwest of Oklahoma City. Obviously, it doesn't pose us a risk at the moment, but they are deeming it as a strong storm. And the National Weather Service in Norman did say that development likely south cannot be ruled out if these storms can hang on. Now, what does that mean for us in Green Country? Well, that means those in Stillwater and some of our far western counties near Shawnee, Bristow, and Okemah, these storms may be headed your direction. Of course, we'll keep an eye on these. As of right now, strong but not severe, and hopefully they'll stay that way. This will just be an isolated nature, not expecting a whole new round of storms to fire up and completely move through our viewing area, but it's just something to keep in mind that we may not be done yet, although it may be isolated. It's just something we're looking at going forward. I'm going to approach now east just to see how these storms are doing as we zoom in. I'm going to go back to the Tulsa radar here. And notice a lot of lightning with that storm now near Stillwell. This can, of course, lightning can strike anything. You do not want to be outdoors viewing this storm. I know how tempting that could be. You want to view it safely from indoors if you can, only if that's a safe way to do so. But lightning, you do not want to be the tallest person outside in your yard near a building. Don't hide underneath a tree, anything of that nature. Just stay indoors, as we're still seeing a lot of lightning in and around this storm near Stillwell. Still managing to track northeast towards Prairie Grove. It may clip the southernmost portions of Westville. Then, of course, we have this tornado warning, tornado warned storm still hanging south as it is approaching towards Sallisaw. And I believe Chief Meteorologist Dan Threlkeld has more.
All right, Joey, if you would check the chat room, we'll find out what they're going to do at 8 o'clock when the tornado warning is scheduled to expire. We've talked a little bit about rainfall. Joey did a radar estimate. Here's another update on the possibility of how much may fall. Keep in mind, or these radar estimates are just that. Sometimes they're corrupted when we get hail in the mix, but a little swath of some 1 to 1.5 inch of rain may have fallen southeast of Tulsa and northwest of Stigler. In that line, especially to the northwest of Eufaula and south of Muskogee. In the McIntosh and Muskogee County line, could have picked up a 1/2 inch. Same thing for southwest of Tahlequah. Flashing red box is still the tornado warning scheduled to expire. We will find out the severe thunderstorm warning that was issued for north of there. That thing goes until 8:30. If the tornado warning expires at the top of the hour, we'll discontinue our wall-to-wall, but we'll still be monitoring that storm that's south of Stillwell. That's on Highway 59, lifting off the north-northeast. The fact that it showed that it has slowed down a little bit in speed does not surprise me at all, because this thing seems like it has been sitting there for quite some time. So, again, we'll find out here very, very soon if they're going to discontinue that tornado warning for that and keep the storm warning in effect for areas off to the east. Doesn't mean the rain is over, because west of Tahlequah, would you look at that? Another little line will kind of gasp and limp into this same area that's been worked over. But Tahlequah, you've got another band of rain, lightning that'll be moving through. And same thing for Jay, southeast of there. That also is lifting off in a north-northeasterly direction. If you've got family and friends over towards Siloam Springs, Gentry, and the Bentonville area, they're about to get clocked with some heavier rainfall as that moves out of Oklahoma and southeastern Kansas and moves back into that same area. In the higher terrain there, they've really got to watch out for the possibility for some flooding as that storm lifts off in a north-northeasterly direction, and the rain in southeast Oklahoma, that continues as well to move through. Heavier rainfall in far northeastern Oklahoma and Adair and Delaware County, and the thunderstorm warning for parts of Sequoia County, that extends with that storm as it lifts off to the north and northeast. So, Joy, It appears that we're at the top of the hour that likely they're going to cover that with a severe thunderstorm warning. That's the flashing, annoying yellow box in that storm system, and the tornado warning may be allowed to expire. Is kind of that what you're seeing or hearing, or have they not made the call just yet?
They have not made the call just yet, but that would coincide with what you're thinking as just having a severe thunderstorm warning just go into effect to cover that was once tornado warned storm. This storm is moving east at about 30 miles per hour for about 60 mile per hour wind gusts and nickel-size hail. Looks like I'm hearing.
Yeah, they are going to go ahead and drop it. So at this time, we'll discontinue our coverage. Join us tonight at 10 o'clock because we'll have the latest on the storms, where they're at, a recap of what has happened. We'll let you get into your regular programming. Keep it right here. We'll continue to watch it here on News Channel 8.